President-elect Joe Biden addressing the nation, calling on President Trump to, quote, step up. Let's bring in Yahoo Finance anchor and correspondent Julie Hyman, along with Yahoo Finance editor-in-chief Andy Serwer. And one of the things, Andy, that the president-elect said was, quote, the restoration of democracy, decency, honor, respect, the rule of law, just plain simple decency. That's what he is calling for. On a day when markets look at all of this and don't seem too troubled by it, but a great many Americans are, how do we reconcile those two things?
Well, we are witnessing, Adam, remarkable history before our eyes, and not in a good way. I mean, this is shocking stuff. We just heard a president-elect calling on a sitting president to call back his mob that are occupying the Capitol building. And let's just take that in for a second, right? We probably never thought we were going to see that in our lifetime. And it's something you expect in a country potentially other than the United States. But no, it happened here. It's an insurrection, it's a coup, they're a mob, and they're inside this building. Our nation, Adam, is diminished by this. I don't want to overstate this. And yet I know there are people who are going to say this will all be over in 24 hours, and it probably will be. But we are diminished. And I was thinking about this from sort of a Wall Street perspective or markets perspective, and it's sort of like a stealthy credit downgrade, a psychological credit downgrade on us from the rest of the world, from the perception of the rest of the world, and indeed from us ourselves, that we are no longer what we were before. We're still an amazing country with an amazing economy, with an amazing political system. But from now on, we're different. We've just gone through this. We're still going through it. And it is not something that will be easily forgotten, Adam.
Andy, stand by. We want to bring in Julie Hyman for a little bit more just on this disconnect that you were talking about, Andy, when it comes to the market and what we're seeing play out on Capitol Hill. And Julie, when you take a look at how we finished today, the Dow at a new record high, what do you make of the disconnect? And does it make sense that we're seeing record highs on Wall Street while the Capitol building right now is under lockdown?
It does. It makes perfect sense, in fact, because while this is a political crisis, one could say an American existential crisis, a psychological crisis for many Americans, and certainly the folks who were trapped there in that building, it is not a crisis for American democracy at the end of the day. It looks like that indeed this is a lot of sound and fury, but are these people overthrowing the government? It doesn't appear so. Are they keeping President Trump in office? It doesn't appear so. And it appears indeed that the Democrats may have taken the Senate. So when you consider those things, it makes sense that, yes, stocks rallied today. And if you look at the patterns in stocks throughout the day, I mean, as Miles pointed out earlier, they're pretty much intact from where they were this morning in reaction to the Georgia Senate runoff, not in reaction to the events in Washington. So when you look at the patterns like things like renewable energy and marijuana stocks rallying because of this view that Democrats were going to take control of the Senate, that is a sort of longer term and from a stock trader's perspective, more logical reaction. Now, if this does turn into something more, if it's more longstanding, you have one member of Congress now, a Democrat from Missouri, calling on the expulsion of some of the members of Congress who she says incited these riots today. Effectively, you know, maybe we can revisit, but the market is not paying attention to this as a market event.
Andy, I'm curious what you think, because one of the proudest moments of my career, my life, was actually standing in the Capitol Rotunda on a regular basis as a correspondent. You've interviewed some of the most powerful men and women in this country's history from that Capitol building. When you see this, what do you think those men and women are thinking right now? Because some of them are on the side of the agitators.
Yeah, and shame on them, Adam, shame on them. I don't think they should be surprised. I mean, in a way, none of us should be surprised. This is sort of the ultimate culmination of the fury, sound and fury, as Julie probably rightly characterized it, and we know what that signified. The ultimate culmination of all this agita. And but you're right, and I've interviewed Ted Cruz in that rotunda, who was at the very fore of this political insurrection that he was trying to run this morning or this afternoon. It'll be interesting to see, if they're really going to still be able to say, well, this is what you get when you have a fraudulent election. Whether they're still going to be able to look the camera in the eye, look the American people in the eye and say, well, this is what's to be expected when you have fraud. Really, that's not what's going on here at all. And I don't know if anyone really knows where things go from here. I do agree with Julie that I think that ultimately, to what I infer from what she's saying, that Biden will be made president on January 20th. So I think that is going to happen, but it's an ugly, ugly way to get there.
Certainly is an extremely ugly way to get there. Yahoo Finance editor-in-chief Andy Serwer and also Yahoo Finance anchor Julie Hyman, our thanks to you for jumping on here today.